Hey, what's up you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the sequel to the original classic Nightmare on Elm Street. This one, like I said, is the sequel, the follow-up, on Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And we're continuing reviewing each Nightmare on Elm Street film, one per weekend. And as you guys already know, I'm on part 2. And yeah, so I just want to continue with this. I know I'm a little bit late getting this one uploaded. I've had a somewhat eventful weekend. I mean, let's see. No, okay, we don't need to go into my personal life right now. But I did get this one up a little bit later than I intended on. But I still wanted to make sure I kept it up and actually kept my word with this. So, what I want to say right off the bat is that this could very well be my least favorite entry into the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And I don't know, it just doesn't have the same magic as the first one, I guess you could say, if you want to be really broad about it. Because I definitely miss that Heather Langenkamp in the second one. I really loved her in the original and part 3. But yeah, her absence is definitely felt, even though Nancy Thompson is mentioned a little bit in this. And I did really like the tie back to, or like the reference back to the original with our main character, Jesse, who's played by Mark Patton. Him and his family move into the Thompson house, on Elm Street. Same exact house, which is really cool. It still has the bars on it that Nancy's mom put up in the original movie. And yeah, as far as the acting goes in this one, Mark Patton as Jesse Walsh, I thought he did a decent job, actually. I mean, the acting isn't what's wrong with this movie. I also like Kim Myers as Lisa Weber, who is Jesse's love interest in the movie. And of course, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger is consistently entertaining as always. So those are definitely the highlights. I also liked Robert Russler's Ron Grady, but he was really just like another version of Rod from the original movie. The bad boy, greaser type and stuff like that. But anyway, this is actually one of Robert Englund's least favorite Nightmare movies as well. I mean, I've read plenty of times before where he says this one, The Dream Child, and I think Freddy's Dead being his least favorite. He said mainly because he didn't like the whole, basically idea of Freddy, manipulating the real world as well as the dream world. He kind of wanted him to stay as a part of the dream world, not really go too far unless he's pulled into it. Into the real world, that is. And Wes Craven actually didn't really like this entry either. He didn't work on it at all himself. And it's pretty much because, again, it's the same reason that Robert Englund says, is because he didn't like the idea of Freddy wanting to attack people in the real world, or deciding to attack people in the real world. He also said, he basically didn't like the idea or the concept of Freddy basically possessing our lead, which is, like I said, is Jesse, and making him commit the murders and setting that whole thing up. He didn't really like that idea either. I get that they were going for a different spin on it, but I didn't really think it felt much like a Freddy movie. He's not quite Freddy. Robert Englund does well in this, but I just think they wrote Freddy to be a little less energetic in this. He just seemed like a lot more dark and serious, and I don't think it really worked in this particular movie. Like I said, there's that whole concept, there's it's overly hot on the second floor in the house, and that causes all these birds to go insane and start killing each other. All this stuff out of nowhere. It makes sense, but yet it doesn't. And then there's this whole, homosexual undertone in the movie, because there's this scene of their gym coach getting killed in the shower and basically getting whipped in the ass. And, also the fact that they have this underlying theme of Jesse's repressed sexuality, because when he's having all this trouble, he runs over to, Ron Grady's house as opposed to Lisa's, or he leaves Lisa and goes to him instead. And at first, a lot of the people involved in the movie would deny that, but they did admit it. And let me read you a quote, or at least what Robert Englund himself had to say about it. He said he was aware of the camp, gay appeal of the series, or the movie anyway. He said the second Nightmare on Elm Street is obviously intended as a bisexual themed film. It was early 80s, pre-AIDS paranoia. Jesse's wrestling with whether to come out or not, and his own sexual desires was manifested by Freddy. His friend, Grady, is the object of his affection. That's all there in the film. We did it subtly, but the casting of Mark Patton was intentional too, because Mark was out and had done Come Back to the Five and Dime, Jimmy Dean. So yeah, I guess that was pretty like a presence in the movie, and some of the other actors said that they weren't really aware of the theme when they were working on it, but later after watching it and looking at it a little more, they realized it. But I don't really have a problem with that. I'm just not sure how necessary it was for the movie, since they never really capitalized, or they never really told you one way or the other if Grady really was bi or gay or whatever. It was just like a weird subplot in the background that was never really explored at all. So it felt a little out of place. But if they did go into it a little bit more and they made it they actually wrote it and executed it, then okay, that's another thing. I would have been okay with that, but it just felt a little out of place in the movie, and it was a little sloppily executed, in my opinion. But the rest of the movie, there's not really many details of the plot to go over. This video is not going to be nearly as long as that 37-minute or so review of the original. Like I said, Freddy basically possesses Jesse throughout the movie, and he basically controls him, and Jesse finds Freddy's glove in the little boiler in the basement. Like I said, it's the same house that Nancy and her family were in the first one, which is cool, really cool, by the way. But he basically goes around, he almost kills his sister. Freddy almost forces him to do that, and he basically forces Jesse to kill his gym teacher, which I mentioned earlier. And he also kills Ron Grady, when he stays over there and tells him to watch him. And that's another weird scene as well, because when Jesse goes over to Grady's house and tells him to watch him, and knock him over the head if something weird is happening, or something along those lines. Freddy basically emerges from Jesse's body, and he tears him open and just completely shreds him, basically, and drops him off like a cocoon, basically, which would have been really brutal and a shocking, oh yeah, they killed the main character in the movie. But no, Jesse's fine a second later, and it all turned out to be some kind of weird cross dream world, real world illusion, I guess, as all part of Jesse's mind being screwed up, I guess, because he's alive within the next minute or so. And Freddy again controls Jesse and forces him to kill Grady, and Jesse escapes and tries to explain it all to Lisa. But it actually leads to a very cool scene, because Lisa's having this pool party, and if you guys are a fan of the series, you know this scene. Freddy's still controlling Grady, except he looks like Freddy now. As far as I know, I'm not sure if they all seen him as Freddy, or if they're all seeing him as Grady instead. But I think at this point they were seeing him as Freddy. And Freddy does things like biting Lisa on the ankle, but Lisa manages to get away, and looks like he's trying to fight it, telling Lisa to try to kill him, but she's trying to stabs him with the kitchen knife. That doesn't work, and eventually Jesse actually wrestles with Freddy enough, and he crashes out into the backyard, with all the pool party guests and stuff like that. And we basically get a pool party massacre, and it's actually a really awesome scene. There's this guy that tries to make peace with Freddy, saying, "Oh yeah, we're here to help you, man. It's okay. It's okay." But, Freddy kills him and quite a few others as well pretty brutally with quite a few slashes and stabs and stuff. It's pretty awesome to watch, actually. And this is where Freddy gives the line, "You're all my children now." So that's badass. Of course, Lisa's father comes out there and he tries to shoot Freddy with a gun, but Lisa stops him because it's still Jesse inside. And Jesse or Freddy eventually leaves. They had to explore this whole power plant, boiler area that Fred used to work at before he was killed by the parents. And there's also another cool thing about this movie. They found Nancy's diary in the closet in the bedroom as well, which basically gave them some insight into how to stop Freddy and what she was going through. And they found out, she wasn't going crazy at all. It was actually all happening. So it's still good that they tied it back to the original movie, especially Nancy herself. Love Nancy Thompson, at least the version in the original series. And so that's really cool stuff. And like I said, it did have a few good scenes in the movie. After Grady was killed, I liked the tone of the movie. I liked the intensity. I liked the tone. I liked the atmosphere of it after that point Grady is killed. But some of the things before that, like Coach being killed and just all these out of place dream real world sequences that occurred just felt a little jumbled and disjointed a little bit, in my opinion. But after Grady is killed, I think it definitely got a little bit better. I've seen the movie before, but I'm rewatching it to get a fresh take on it, and it's still not one of my favorites. But the ending is decent enough. It makes sense for how the rest of the film went. Like I said, they get to the power plant, and Lisa's trying to push Jesse to fight Freddy even more so, telling him she loves him and different things like that. And Freddy's trying to say Jesse's dead. And it's kind of funny because it makes me think back to that line in the original movie of him telling Nancy, over the phone, "I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy." You guys remember that. But it kind of reminds me of that. And eventually, Jesse fights him enough so he doesn't kill kill Lisa. And Freddy pretty much loses control, and all of a sudden he just lights on fire, and Freddy himself starts burning really, and that's pretty much it. There's not many more details to talk about throughout the movie. His dad was a little bit annoying in the movie. I just thought the drama between them and how pissed his dad was getting at him about cleaning up his room and different things like that. How insane, and he thought he was on drugs and different things like that. He is a little bit annoying in the movie. And I just thought their little confrontation they had when Jesse came downstairs all the times is a little bit... didn't really feel like it made too much sense. But, again, I think after that certain point, Grady's death and onward, it was a little bit more well done after that part of the story, I think. And, really not much more to say about this one. I liked the pool party massacre. That was really awesome. I also like the opening dream sequences, like the earlier dream sequences of them being on the bus, and them, being basically on top of that little cliff, going side to side on it, with Jesse being trapped on there with the two girls and stuff. That part was cool. And the ending is very, very similar to the original movie. It's kind of funny, actually. Because, they wake up or they don't wake up, but, they go to the next day. And Jesse, is leaving the house. His mom's all bright, and they're all happy, and Jesse's more perky and stuff like that. And when he gets on the bus, Lisa's there and her friends and stuff like that. They're all happy with each other, and they just say they're not going to talk about last night at all. But then Jesse starts noticing the bus starts speeding up, just like it did in the beginning of the movie, and they basically see them. They're trying to reassure him that nothing's happening. But then Lisa's friend is talking to him, and Freddy's claw in his hand comes through her chest and kills her. And then that's when they realize they're driving out into the desert again, just like at the beginning of the movie. So yeah, they're basically, the main characters, as far as we know, are basically doomed. their fate is pretty much left unknown. The only reason we know what happened to Nancy is because she shows up in part 3. But we don't really know what happened to these guys. But it's definitely reminiscent of the original because Nancy and her friends were trapped in the car after thought everything was perfect and back to normal. But so this is pretty much another variation of that, which I thought was a little bit lazy, but still a fun ending nonetheless of keeping Freddy around. Let's see if there's anything else I want to mention about it. Yeah, I thought the cast was good. I mean, the acting was well enough. I mean, it wasn't, like, great, but it was decent. I liked Lisa. I liked Jesse. Of course, Robert Englund, as always. Thought Grady was a fun character, just like Rod in the original movie, but I thought that was a little bit lazy that they were so similar. Yeah, not one of my favorites of the series, but not quite too bad. I mean, I still find parts of it I enjoy. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys most likely tomorrow for my review of the weekly Walking Dead episode. I believe this week's episode is called... Give me a split second, guys. I think it's called Consumed. So I'll make sure I'm right here. Yep, it's one tonight. I'll be reviewing that, and that'll be up tomorrow. So yeah, I'll catch you guys for that and my review of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors next weekend. Wow, that's one of my favorites in the series. My 3 favorites in the Nightmare series being the original Dream Warriors and Part 5, The Dream Child. So I'm definitely looking forward to reviewing that one a little bit more than I was with this one. Still not bad, but didn't really live up to the greatness of the original. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. I didn't want this one to run quite as long. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the Walking Dead review and Dream Warriors review next weekend. See you guys soon, and peace.